This week on the Agents to Owners podcast, it is my pleasure to have this powerhouse in the insurance industry. He is the owner of Pinnacle Insurance of Minnesota. In 2001, he helped found and acts as the president of Savvital Virtual Assistants, and he is the founder and president of the Kirk Cousins Fan Club. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Troy Thompson. Welcome, Troy.
Oh, I love it. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Mr. Bolt. Yes, I am excited to be on your show. It's an honor, man. I really look up to you. I remember the first time we met was in Aruba.
That's right.
No, yeah, it was Aruba.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we had a good
Wilson
week.
Mutual.
A Wilson Mutual trip. Yep. Wonderful. And I remember looking at you and I was like, I'm going to probably party with this guy this week when we were in one of the security checkpoints or something.
And you did.
I did. We did.
All week long.
All week, baby.
Yeah.
What was it? Sopranos or no?
Sopranos. Piano bar.
Smoke cigars and watch Rich Cooper be stupid.
Oh, boy. He wasn't the only one.
No.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, it was such a good time. So, yes, I'm a huge Kirk Cousins fan. And I'm not sure, maybe I misheard it, but definitely didn't start Savvital, the virtual assistant company, till 2021. I thought you said 2001.
Oh, no. I did. I meant 2021. Yeah.
But, yeah, I would love to talk to you about Pinnacle Insurance. You and I were basically neighbors, and what AmeriGuard is doing, what we're doing, and anything in between.
Yeah, well, on that you touched on, I've learned so much from Troy over the years, from technology to systems to groups. Troy is always at a front runner in getting involved in what's going on in the industry, and I've picked up so much from him. So I truly appreciate the relationship and everything I've learned from Troy. So if I have, I'm sure others have too. I do think you are a leader in this industry. I'm not sure you would classify yourself as that, but you definitely are. Either that, or you definitely have shiny object syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and I think you probably do too, but I just implement a little faster, right?
I do. But we learn.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. From the very beginning, since you took over your agency, I felt you had a very aggressive approach to growth, both from a growing new business standpoint and growing the agency. Can you tell me some of the growing pains you might have experienced from the beginning till now?
Yes, I think one of the biggest growing pains, and I'd really like to hammer on this and talk about this as long as you want to, but is when you first start in insurance, first of all, I started with my dad. So I got very lucky, not like you, Brad, coming in solo and taking over a big organization just because of you. I got lucky because of my dad starting Pinnacle, but he was a farmer's agent for 62 years. I started a few years after he.
Did you say 62 years?
Sorry. He was a farmer's agent at the tender age of 62, went independent.
Yeah.
And from there, a year or two later, I joined forces with him. And it was January of 2008 or 2009, right in the middle of the Obama stimulus.
Well, yeah, the recession. I mean, that was a hardcore recession for sure.
And I remember the stimulus, so I'd say that. So I started going door to door. I literally, in the middle of January, started knocking on doors. I knew nothing about insurance other than the fact that I got my license because I got fired from my other job. But yeah, it was the best thing that ever happened to me to be able to start working with my dad. I remember I still only made like $10,000, $12,000 my first year knocking on doors in insurance. So going back to your question, the struggle is so real for a new agent or agency owner where you don't make any money in insurance right away, especially in personal lines, which is what I specialize in. It takes time to build that book of business and those renewals. And I never got any base salary or any help from my dad. But I struggled and learned, and I would just go out 2-3 hours a day and get 5-10 leads a day and give them all to my dad, and he would call them all and put one in his name, and then he'd put one in my name.
Really?
So yeah, I just think anybody getting into insurance needs to know it starts with lead gen first.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how much you know about insurance if you can't generate leads. That's where it all stops.
I tell any of my people, if you can find people that are interested in buying insurance, you'll be successful.
Yeah, that's it. Because especially since we're independent, right?
Yeah, we have the products to offer.
Yeah. And it's an easy sale. I mean, I sold books door to door in college, and that was hard. I worked like 80, 90 hours a week in Arkansas, and all you do, it's a numbers game. We had 3 things: hours, demos, and attitude. If you control those 3 things, you're going to be successful. Same thing with insurance. If you can go out and work for a couple hours a day, talk to enough people, and have a good attitude, you're going to get people that are interested. And then you just go back, like you said, because we have the products, and you present the products and help people. So it's a beautiful industry. But yeah, going back to the struggles, one of the struggles I also dealt with was my dad. Everybody said I was lucky because they thought my dad was like giving me all the business and all the leads and probably giving me a base and everything. And I remember, my wife can testify to this, how upset I would get at people. I was like, they don't know how hard I'm working.
Yeah.
And now I just laugh. 10, 12 years down the line, I laugh that I felt jealous that people were saying I was lucky because of my dad, because it is true. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him starting this agency. So very lucky and honored. So that's basically how I first got into it, was just knocking on doors and the struggles with that. I could keep going, like different levels.
Yeah. How about from when you took over as owner, and now you are the decision maker? Or if I remember right, there was a time where, your dad was still involved, and that's probably that's a challenge in itself.
That was definitely a challenge. It was time to kind of let him retire, and it worked out really well because my mom has some medical things. So he retired probably 5 years ago, and 5-6 years ago, I think now. But it was frustrating dealing with someone that doesn't understand technology. I always had problems with his passwords just every day, and he wasn't going to get any better. But I love my dad, because just the other day he wanted to learn QuickBooks.
Oh boy.
I'm like, be my guest. And then a day later, I'm like, how's your studying going on QuickBooks? He's like, no, I'm not learning that, but he's awesome. But yeah, just to get him to finally understand that it was time to leave was a challenge. And I guarantee most of those family agencies deal with the exact same thing, because why would your dad or uncle or brother want to move on when they have this pretty much guaranteed income coming in the rest of their life? It's tough to get them to hang it up, so to speak. But yeah, so that was certainly a struggle to take it over 100%, but it worked out well. And luckily we're still really tight, and my dad comes in 3 times a week. And
oh wow. So from there, but I mean, I guess from my standpoint, I feel like you grew relatively fast, both staff wise and business wise. And so you took, like I said, you were aggressive. You got involved in programs, you gotten, involved in the Dave Ramsey program, where you had a bunch of leads to work with. You paid for it. And
paying a lot.
And as you always said, but something I respected always respected your point of view of it is this is an investment. You viewed this as an investment, which is you look at almost any business owner, that is the risk that they have taken, to put a financial risk that it's going to pay off. And I think for you, it has.
Thanks.
So can you speak to that a little bit of some of the challenges of adding on new staff, trying to get everybody on the same page and grow this book of business?
Yeah. So we probably tripled our book of business after my dad retired 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
So, like you said, I like the quote, if you're green, you're growing. If you're ripe, you're rotten. So even to my own demise, sometimes I don't like making a lot of net profit. I mean, I like the revenue, but I always will put it back into hiring a new person or finding new ways to spend it. I mean, we're doing fine, my wife and I, but we like paying our employees. We like investing in self-growth and different programs. So I remember when I was talking to my wife, when I first got into insurance, I was like, see, I only made $10,000 this year, but then the next year I'm going to make 30. And I have this whole graph and I have it here in my office somewhere. And then in like 10 years, I'll be like, we'll be making $300,000 a year. And that was when I was a producer for my dad. And she brought it in like a year or two ago. I was like, where's our 300? And I'm like, honey, we're making a lot more than that. And she's like, I don't see it. But the way I look at it is end game is potentially selling the agency.
Yeah.
Right. I'd rather continue to grow and putting money into the business rather than try to keep as much money as I can, because it is like, I mean, look at the stock market right now. Stock market's taking, and we have guaranteed income. We're making 20% gains this year just because our book of business is going up 20%.
Yeah.
You can't get that in the stock market, especially now. So we're in a great, we're in a great business.
Are you, there's the catchphrase in insurance is, for owners is to work on the business and not in the business. Are you still working in the business at all?
Not too much at all, to be frank with you. I have a good team that even goes as far as looking through my emails. I do get involved with the big problems, of
course,
the real tricky clients, but oftentimes I'm just forwarding emails and trying not to get involved with anything. A lot of times when I get involved now, I screw it up anyway. So, and I think you're getting closer and closer to that too, right, Brad?
Yeah. I'm probably 80-20, 80 working on the business, 20 working in the business.
Mm-hmm.
I still do some production from key referral sources. And then, like you said, the putting out the big fires.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Keeping relationships, and it's getting and hopefully, which I took a much bigger leap this year than I was planning to, and that was more just deciding to rip the Band-Aid off and say this is how we're going to do it and move forward. So next year I hope to take a bigger leap and eliminate more of the production, but that comes with having the right people in the right seats. Which we're very close. So
good.
It's going very well.
Yeah, I probably about 90 to 95% out. I will look at emails, and referral partners is definitely one too that I need to put my spin on. I had a VA set up a couple good referral partner meetings last week, so that was nice, and hopefully we'll get more this week, just for coffee and lunch or whatever. I think that's super important to bring in the business and then let everybody else handle it from here, the sales down to the service.
What piece of technology has benefited your agency the most, would you say?
Ooh.
Or if there's 2 or 3, let's talk about them.
Probably computers.
Computers have been huge. Thankfully, thankfully, we both came in when computers were around. We didn't have to do any book rating. Hey, wanted to make sure you saw this too.
Oh, I was wondering if that was yours.
Yeah, fits great. Thank you.
Good. I'll get him.
Perfect.
And just for the listeners out there, Brad and I are going to be roommates in Nashville here in a couple weeks. So
IAOA, baby.
IAOA. But
so back to technology. What would you say? CRM, anything. I know you use a renewal phone call system.
Oh yeah,
well. Yeah.
That's a real good technology. I mean, slide broadcast.
I
mean, that's awesome, and that's kind of the start of our whole renewal. Send out the voicemail from me, thanking them for being great clients and letting them know they're going to get an email or text to check for that, to choose a time to talk to someone on my team for their renewal. And that's been a game changer. So that whole process is, I guess the technology piece in that is just we send it out through our management system and also slide broadcast. We use Agency Zoom, we use Easy Links, we use Vonage now. Ooh, this is a good one. We switched to Vonage 2-3 months ago because it ties in with Easy Links. So now every phone call automatically gets downloaded to the client file. So you don't
automatically.
Wow. So you don't have to search through.
That's huge.
Or whatever. Yeah, we love it because that, and when phone calls come up, it pops up a screen to let you know who's calling. So that's good for our VAs too, to be able to quickly know the client's name so they don't ask them their name and then ask them how to spell it and waste their time. So it works out really, really well. I would say Vonage has been a real big game changer for us.
Who did you have previously?
We had Pop, which was VoIP too.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Vonage is connected well with your virtual professional?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So they answer phone calls for us. I mean, virtual professionals has been a technology too, in a way. People technology or software. I mean, you can look at it like that, where you're getting basically employees for half the cost.
Yeah.
So that has been a pretty big game changer for our agency too.
So, as a business owner, we all wear so many different hats, and you not only run one business, you run two businesses. As I alluded to, that you are, also president of Savvital Virtual Professionals. So, being that we're constantly pulled in so many different directions, how do you manage it all? How do you keep everything straight and still be efficient with your time?
I don't think I've done much. And you look at a guy like Zuckerberg. Who's the guy? Who's the Amazon guy? Bezos,
yeah.
I mean, shoot, he probably works 4 hours a day, but he has people in place to do all the. I'm not even close to that yet. I feel overwhelmed. I'm not going to take any credit for what you said. I feel like I'm not responding to people in the way they deserve. I feel I'll cut up in a vein a little bit. I just feel it's hanging on by a string right now. To be honest with you, I feel like there could be. I mean, I have VAs trying to help me, but we're not quite there yet where they are an extension of me. So a lot of times they just tell me to respond to the emails that I've gotten, and at some point I'd like them to do the responding too. They do help with the insurance stuff, which has given me more time for Savvital. I will say that. I mean, all I do now I don't quote, I don't sell insurance, is try to meet with those referral partners and get new referral partners for Pinnacle. But then other than that, I'm spending 60-70% of my day with on Savvital type stuff, appointments with clients and meetings with our team. I'm actually trying to get a visa right now because I'm going to be going there at the end of October. Still don't have the visa yet. Now I spent an hour trying to format my picture right, and I still couldn't figure it out. So I'm having them do it now. Hopefully they got it done. I'm going to ask who's there right now.
Which is, I mean, you touch on it. I mean, overwhelming. I think for all of us, it can be overwhelming. For you when when you have your hands in a couple different businesses, it's even more so. And I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners struggle with, is that you can't get back to everybody and give them the treatment that you want to, because your time is so constrained.
Yeah. And I think you just almost have to be okay with not giving 100% to everyone, and knowing some people may even cancel, because you deal with the exact same thing I do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much to go around, and if some people cancel, we're really not going to feel it anyway. But it's just like that personal pride of, I should be calling this person right now, but I can't. I should have called them. I've got this one email from a client, and he's probably copied me on this email back and forth with Safeco 50 times with adjusters and contractors, and I have not. I've called him like once 2 months ago, and I'm just not responding to any of it. The ball seems to be moving forward, but just today I was like, I should probably pick up the phone and call Eric and just say, what's going on? Can I do anything right now? And then my fear though is that he's going to ask me all these specific questions, and I haven't been reading the emails. I'm not reading. That would have taken me 6 hours to read through.
Then you're into the weeds.
Yeah.
Of something that you shouldn't be into the weeds on.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, allow your people to take care of that and trust that they are.
Yeah.
But that's hard, because you want to be helpful where those type of people, but it's like you constantly have to prioritize, and that shifts throughout the day with what can come up, and who, I'm constantly evaluating what the best use of my time is. And unfortunately, some people and some items will fall off, and that's something you just have to learn to deal with mentally, is that you cannot do it all.
Yeah. And do you handle that well? I mean, are you okay leaving the office knowing you could probably call 5 or 10 more people and just help and check in, and like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it depends what it is. Ultimately, I want things to be handled, so I don't generally feel like things don't get handled, or if it's a customer, I don't feel like their need didn't get met. It's just I wasn't the one meeting it. And sometimes, our insurance customers they want to talk to their agent, they want to talk to their person, and that's not the way that we're set up anymore. I do have a feeling that the staff that I have here are qualified. They are going to give the correct answer. I don't need to be involved. So those are the things I don't typically worry about that from a customer standpoint, unless it's a real big issue. And if it's a real big issue, I will make the time for it.
Okay.
We have there's a lot of times, there's, as much as we try to connect with, so many other people, and, to be referral partners, or just, to get into our ecosystem. There's a lot of people that are trying to connect with us, for that same reason. And I feel, I do feel bad, because those are oftentimes a lot of people that I don't get back to. And now a lot of times they're trying to sell me something. But there's certain people that I like that I just can't get back to. But again, it's prioritizing what's going to be the best use of my time right now.
Yeah. You got to
Hopefully tomorrow. So it's unfortunate, but I think we all learn to deal with it. We can't be we can't meet everybody's needs.
Yeah. Yep. And going full circle, like you talked about, I'm struggling with that still. And partially it's because the better you do for people, the busier you'll get. So, it's a vicious circle of like, I do better, I get more leads, more referrals, I'm busier now again. And can you continue doing better when you're just pulled in all those different directions, and you become a lot less effective. You become diluted.
Yeah. Well put. So going back, after from the challenges that you've had, going back, are there some things that you wish? Of course, there's some things you wish you would have done differently. What are some of those things you wish you would have done differently along the way? Might have made it a little smoother transition, smoother pattern.
Probably worked even harder on the lead gen at the beginning. And that's what I tell all the young people starting, even if they have brand new babies or whatever. If you can knock on doors, and it doesn't have to be knock on doors, you can telemarket, you can do whatever you want. But if you can do that 6 hours a day instead of 3, you'll be twice as effective. In 3 hours, I can get 10 leads pretty easy. In 6, I could get 20. And just think how quickly you could grow your book of business if you did that consistently. Now, the problem is you get appointments with customers, you're selling them after you get the leads, and it makes it harder and harder to get back out there consistently. But if I could have done it all over again, it absolutely would have been even stricter on my lead gen. Yeah, it's been a pretty good deal. It's hard to really complain about the last 10, 12 years in this business, because I've been very blessed and lucky.
Any advice you have to, say, a scratch agent they've grown a book of business, right? And now they're growing and they're adding on people. Any advice to kind of help transition from that producer position to an agency owner position?
Yeah. One is, think of it in the long term. Like, I pay my sales guys a base, and I give them all my leads, which means the first 1, 2, 3 years, I'm making a hell of a lot less money than I would have if I just kept on selling and keeping the leads to myself. But once you get over those first few years, when the renewals start kicking in, you'll have a little bit more money. And just know you're going to have to take that proverbial step back to go forward. You're going to have someone that takes over the leads that you're generating. You're going to have to pay them probably a lot of money, because you don't get paid a lot of money in insurance. And if you're going to get a good producer to come in, you're going to have to pay them a lot up front, which means you're even losing more money. So, but after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, you're going to be so much further ahead, because you can work on growing the business and scaling it and hiring it and hiring and going to conferences like we're going to and things like that, rather than being so concerned about what am I going to do about all the leads that I'll be getting while I'm gone. I can't afford to leave. So sometimes it's easier said than done. Some people are definitely able to take that risk sooner in life, but just like Nike says, just do it as soon as you can.
So I think you nailed 2 pieces of it, and 2 pieces that I did very poorly. One, to think long term. I did not think long term. I thought very short term. And it was hard for me to get out of that producer mindset of that this is how I'm going to grow. I need to continue to grow my book, grow my book, grow my book. I wish that I would have taken a step back earlier and said, I need to grow the agency. And which you alluded to, what is the best way to scale the agency? I didn't see that for a while. It took me a while to get that. So I think you nailed a really good point.
Thank you.
Hang on. I'm going to shut this thing down. I appreciate you being here. Thank you to our listeners for listening to another week of the Agents to Owners podcast. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Peace out, Troy.
Peace.